7:29 p.m., July 24th, 2024. All right. Haven't done a ramble in a minute. One of my last rambles, I was a sobbing mess. Sometimes I do these and then I delete them because I'm embarrassed. And sometimes I just leave them up because, whatever. But I'm in the middle of reading Sister Carrie this week by Theodore Dreiser. And I'm over halfway done. I've got about less than 200 pages left, which shouldn't take me too long. And each of the chapters aren't very long. They're only like somewhere in between like 8 to 10 to 12 pages, give or take, maybe more, maybe less. And this is my first Theodore Dreiser book. The first I had heard of Theodore Dreiser was in American Splendor with Paul Giamatti, and he was talking with another character about Jeannie Gerhardt, and then proceeded to ruin the book for me by spoiling the ending. I hadn't, and I'm not going to spoil it here. And I be forewarned, watching American Splendor if you don't want Jeannie Gerhardt spoiled. However, I bought Jeannie Gerhardt a long time ago. I think before I bought Sister Carrie, and I haven't read it yet. And despite knowing the ending, I still want to read it. Let's see. So I want to see in his bibliography when he did that. Theodore. Is it Theodore? Then have a kiss on account. Let's see. Fiction. Okay, so he wrote Sister Carrie in 1900, Jeannie Gerhardt in 1911, The Financier in 1912, The Titan in 1914, Genius 1915, and so he did. I'll keep going. Free and Other Stories 1918, An American Tragedy 1925, which I have seen A Place in the Sun, and I think I have bitched and moaned on the channel that I do not like that movie, yet I like that movie enough that I will watch it several times and secretly like it, but bitch about how I don't like it because I don't like it, but I also like it. I like not liking it, but I also just plain like it. An American Tragedy. Chains, Lesser Novels and Stories, 1927. The Total Stranger, ABT, is that about? 1944, The Bulwark, 1946, and The Stoic, 1947. So he was very productive in his 74 years of life. Sister Carrie he wrote when he was a young buck, 28 or 29. And, but this is, and he also did drama, poetry, and nonfiction. Sister Carrie, first time I've read it, and again, I bought the book. Maybe I'll turn the camera on to show, like, the book itself. I ain't gonna show my face, so don't even ask. It's dark in here. Let me see. So this is the book I'm reading, and Barnes & Noble swiped it up to sell. I probably got this on, like, some kind of, like, classics display or something a long time ago. I don't remember when I bought this. I know I probably bought it in the Barnes & Noble store. I don't remember ordering this. I ordered Jeannie Gerhardt off of Amazon. Maybe I did order this off of Amazon. I honestly don't remember. But I've read this much so far. And let's see. Chapter 30. I've got, let's see, this much left to go. So I'm over halfway there. What do you think of this cover art? I wonder if it says where it's from. It's obviously a painting. Let's see. Looking. All rights reserved. I'm looking. Sister Carrie was first published in 1900 in an edition of 1,000 copies. It was reissued in 1907. I'm trying to see where the cover art's from. I'm not quite sure. Ooh, it has Q&As in the back. That'll be fun. But I don't want to read them right now or else I'll get spoilers, I think. Where the fuck is the painting from? I'm sure I'm like looking right at it and I'm just not seeing it. What is the cover art? What is the cover art? Does it say on like cover art design? Dutton and Sherman. Cover art Madame Gautreau drinking a toast. You see that? That's where the cover art is. Cover art Madame Gautreau drinking a toast by John Singer Sargent. So that is Madame Gautreau? Madame Gautreau. I wonder what she got up to. See her? She's toasting. She's drinking a toast. You can't drink toast. You can make a toast with a drink. Anyway. Madame Gautreau, John Singer Sargent. I think they just choose, I don't fucking know, random art pieces and slap them on the covers. Let's see, John Singer Sargent. Ooh. 20th century portraits. Madame Gautreau. Okay. Let's see. His most controversial work, Portrait of Madame X, Madame Pierre Gautreau, is now considered one of his best works, and was the artist's personal favorite. He stated in 1915, "I suppose it is the best thing I have done." When unveiled in Paris at the 1884 Salon, it aroused such a negative reaction that it likely prompted Sargent's move to London. Sargent's self-confidence had led him to attempt a risque experiment in portraiture, but this time it unexpectedly backfired. Okay, so what's Portrait of Madame X? Is it like a nude or something? It's not even nude. She's just standing there chilling with full frontal yet facial profile. This is what people got upset about. That's a pretty dress. I don't know that I'd have the balls to wear that unless I lost like 80 pounds, but that's pretty. That's what people got upset about. It's good work, John. Don't let him handle you. Portrait painting by John Singer Sargent of young socialite Virginie Amélie of Gautreau, wife of the French banker Pierre Gautreau. Madame X was painted not as a commission, but at the request of Sargent. It is a study in opposition. Sargent shows a young woman posing in a black satin dress with jeweled straps, a dress that reveals and hides at the same time. The portrait is characterized by the pale flesh tone of the subject contrasted against a dark-colored dress and background. The scandal resulting from the painting's controversial reception at the Paris Salon of 1884 amounted to a temporary setback to Sargent while in France, though it may have helped him later establish a successful career in Britain and America. So you're telling me the French were uptight? Give me a fucking break. Okay. I love how we were going from Sister Carrie to John Singer Sargent. Background of Madame X. The model was an American-French Creole immigrant from New Orleans in Louisiana who married a French banker twice her age and became notorious in Parisian high society for her beauty and rumored sexual infidelities. She wore lavender powder and prided herself on her appearance. She was referred to as a professional beauty, a term for a woman who uses personal skills to advance herself socially. So she fucked her way to the top. Her unconventional beauty made her a fascination for artists. The American painter Edward Simmons claimed that he could not stop stalking her as one would as one does a deer. Lovely. Sargent was also impressed and anticipated that a portrait of Gautreau Gautreau would garner much attention at the upcoming Paris Salon and increase interest in portrait commissions. He wrote to a friend, I have a great desire to paint her portrait and have reason to think she would allow it and is waiting for someone to propose this homage to her beauty. If you are bien avec elle and will see her in Paris, you might tell her I am a man of prodigious talent. Bien avec elle. Something new and good. Bien avec elle. To English. Something bien is good. Avec is name. Good with her. Okay. Avec. Oh, I see. Elle. As in mademoiselle? I should have known that better. Bien. Okay. Bien avec elle. Bien avec elle. I am speaking French to you. J'étais parlé français. You can tell I am a non-native French speaker. I do love the language, though. It's pretty. Je te parle français? Je te parle français. Je te parle français. Je suis, n'est-ce pas? Je suis, n'est-ce pas? Je suis, n'est-ce pas? Bonjour. Anyway, you get the picture. Let's see. Okay. Although she had refused numerous similar requests from painters, Gautreau accepted Sargent's offer in February 1883. Sargent was an expatriate like Gautreau, and their collaboration has been interpreted as motivated by a shared desire to attain high status in French society. So they collaborated. Little progress was made during the winter of 1883 as Gautreau was distracted by social engagement and was not, by nature, inclined to the discipline of sitting for a portrait. At her suggestion, Sargent traveled to her estate in Brittany in June, where he commenced a series of preparatory works in pencil, watercolors, and oils. About 30 drawings resulted from these sessions in which many poses were attempted. Like the eventual portrait, an oil sketch entitled Madame Gautreau Drinking a Toast, as you guys saw, shows the subject's profile and bare arms against a dark background, but is of a more freely brushed and informal character. Just as she had been in Paris and the country, Gautreau was bored by the process of sitting. Here, too, there were social engagements, as well as the responsibilities of tending to her 4-year-old daughter, her mother, house guests, and the full domestic staff. Sargent complained of the unpaintable beauty and hopeless laziness of Madame Gautreau. Yeah. So what's up with Amélie? Virginie Amélie Avino Gautreau was an American-born Parisian socialite. The suggestion of indiscreet posing in a revealing costume provoked a storm of outrage because people can't handle bare shoulders. Well, you wanted notoriety and you got it. So, doesn't seem that hard to do. Like, seriously, this is what people were so upset about? I'm going to use that as my thumbnail, I think. I don't think it'll provoke the same outrage, but silly. Silly. She looks fine. I kind of want that dress, honestly. I don't think I could pull it off right now, but again, if I lost some weight and caked my face with makeup, maybe I can pull it off. She got pink ears, though. Pretty. Where is it? Portrait of Madame X, oil on canvas. Oh, it's at the Met. I want to go to the Met. I want to go to the Met. I want to go to the Met and see Madame X. Interesting. Portrait of Madame X. People were all in a huff over this. Good Lord. Anyway, so back to the book itself. I like the book so far. It's been a bit of a slog. I think his style is, dare I say, a little long-winded, and maybe that was par for the course at the time. Like, I'll read, Carrie said something, and then there'll be like 2 paragraphs of like, and behind that something she was thinking of the da 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 da, and is a little long-winded. Like, I just flipped to a page. Hanson jumped out of bed with more celerity than he usually displayed and looked at the note. That's just a paragraph. But that's a bad example. But anyhow, it's a little long-winded, and it kind of disrupts the flow a little bit. And I'll admit, sometimes I'll be reading and getting a little bit bored, but then all of a sudden, like, there will be a very touching passage that's not necessarily about any of the characters, but about kind of the humanity of all the characters and their situation, or just humanity itself, and like Theodore's observations of it. That's incredibly touching. I think a work like this, as kind of like non-trimmed as it is, shows the kind of burgeoning exuberance Dreiser had for expressing himself. And though it might be long-winded and kind of gets the narrative off track, it's also touching in a way, because he'll go on these little tangents, but then he'll bring it back. Like, today I read 2 chapters about the train, which I admit I accidentally spoiled for myself by watching a trailer of the Laurence Olivier take on Carrie, but I stopped it before it went too far. And I think it's good. It's surprising. It's surprising. And I don't know that I'll ever read it again, but I think I'm running into my my own challenges and not necessarily the novel's quality. Let's see. Let's see. Unknown to Maud, Arthur sold a half interest in the house to Dreiser to finance a move to New York without her. Greatest of all American urban novels. So he wrote this in his late 20s. And it's really good. I don't know what I'm trying to get to. Like, I'm trying to formulate my opinion of the novel, but I'm also reading his Wikipedia page. Like, I'm not done with it yet, but I think the setup was pretty typical. She moves to the quote unquote big city to be with her sister and her husband, who doesn't want her there. And I don't think her sister necessarily wants her there either, but they're family and they're going to stick it through. And it's 2 against 1. her sister and her husband, and it's like, look, if you're gonna stay here, you gotta earn your keep. You gotta go get a job to pay for your room and board. And um, I like I like the development of the character where she moved from one city because she was bored of it and wanted opportunity, so she came to a bigger city to where she's an even smaller person and may even have a lesser chance of getting anywhere. And I like seeing Theodore describe her experience looking for work and being anxious and trying to conquer her fears and being told by people in power, like, look, all you're going to get is like a little shop girl position, or you don't have any experience, you're going to punch holes in leather shoes. Like, what do you want? You want work? We'll put you to work, but it's going to be a lowly position. So, and I'm not completely ignorant of works from this era where high society is the only game in town, and how people try to play it. It's that's always going to be a topic of interest because in a way it is a game that if we don't all play, we're subject to. And hypergamy is definitely a central theme, and social climbing itself, and status and reputation, all these little things we assign ourselves or are assigned to us that kind of paint us before we can establish who we are. And that will always be a key interest to me. Whether or not an individual defines themselves and how they define themselves and who they define themselves as. I think for Carrie, she kind of starts off a little bit noble, but you start to see her change with the acquisition of her own power that she has, and that's attraction. She attracts. One of the first glimpses of interaction is the novel is between her and, or real interaction is between her and Drouet. And Drouet is attracted to her, but he cites her as a little thing, or I forget what the phrase was, but is like not much, like some little thing on the train that was cute or whatever. And then he puts muscle behind pursuing her, and is eventually successful. Like, he more or less courts her by buying her off from her sister because she's like, yeah, I don't. So, okay, so I have the choice between, working essentially what's not slave labor, but scab labor, and dealing and living with people who don't even want me there in the first place and are always judging me, or I can go with this guy and, like, he treats me very well, he buys me nice things, I don't have to live in a shithole. What am I going to choose? Well, with Drouet, he's also a little condescending. I think he doesn't want something for nothing. I think we're lightly touching upon the fact that Carrie, for all Drouet's materialism, Carrie is a possession. And I think he even used the word possession. Is a possession in and of itself. So I wanted to say that Drouet was one of the more moral characters, and he is, but it's not without some little bit of lack of moral fiber, because even when she's gaslighting him, and she's pretty shitty for doing this, But I think she's partly right when she says, "You look at me like a toy, like a plaything." Because it's true. Having a woman on his side, a pretty woman, a pretty young woman, raises his social status, I think. Because he's a man of means and he can provide for more than himself and all that stuff. So, but when she goes through it again with Hurstwood, and Hurstwood must have, even the vocabulary, have her, possess her, it's very self-absorbed. And we're supposed to think of it as grand, romantic, sweeping gestures. And they are, but they're also, it also begs the question, do you want me for you or do you want me for me? Or both? And what does that mean? And all the while, Carrie's ping-ponged. Carrie ping-pongs herself. They make Drouet the ridiculously oblivious third wheel. I like the turn that that Theodore is taking with Hurstwood, where he's kind of driven mad by, if not lust, then love, but also by possession. I don't think it's necessarily love. I think it's possession. It's what, and I think love's in there too, but it's what someone does for something else. He makes a great point to illustrate that the love someone has for something else is in part because of what the person does for the other person. The person who loves somebody gives that person a sense of awakening, like new energy and new life, and that's partly why they love them. They're experiencing something that has re-energized them, and it's not necessarily it's not, it's a new take on life, a new perception, and again an awakening of parts of themselves that have been kind of subdued and dormant. And it sets the imagination on fire. And I like that Hurstwood talks about how, or I like how Dreiser talks about Hurstwood and how, for all the importance of social status and climbing, he did all that and he got where he was and he was where he was supposed to be and he wasn't happy. And although he's a scumbag who essentially cheats on his wife, he's telling the truth of many, 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 many people. I think a lot of people do the things that are expected of them, expecting that to bring them fulfillment and happiness. And I think for a lot of people it does, but for a lot of people it doesn't. And then what? When you've gotten married, got the house, have the kids, it's something you wanted, something other people wanted for you. They put you in that image before you yourself did, or you yourself did, and you're there and you're not happy. Then what? And then you start having extramarital affairs, which only further complicates your life. And you steal your company's resources out of a safe you were put in charge of. I can only imagine where this is going to go at less than 200 pages. We're going to find out in the next few days. I'm not going to take another week to finish this book. I'm going to finish it soon. But I just wanted to take a little break from it. But that scene with Carrie gaslighting Drew kind of showed a real awful side to her, which was nice to read. It doesn't make her the innocent plaything. She's a player in the play, and she has a part to play, and she's played it. And I'm not even referring to her playing in a play. Her playing a part in her real life and what that does to other lives. Just the moniker Sister Carrie, when Drew has to tell the people running the hotel that she's a relation and not a lover, and we're talking about deception. She's part of someone else's deception. She's part of Drouet's deception. She's part of Hurstwood's deception to his wife. She's deceiving herself of her own life path by hitching herself to other people. It's a very real portrait of human life. And I think, knowing that he wrote this when he was in his 20s, I got to thinking earlier today that I tried to express things, write things, put something on the page, tried to make sense of things. And there's artists that I like that can do it pretty succinctly when they're in their teens or their 20s. And some of those artists die off. You can understand most of how it goes by a certain age, and I'm more than past it now. And I find it interesting with this book that the characters are trying to again fill in certain roles that they think is expected of them, or that is acceptable in the society that they're living in, but it's not to them. Like Hurstwood's passage about, I want to go back to the old way and be restored, and it's I can't. And in a large way, that's a good thing, because you're not beholden. Some people want to be beholden to the comforts of the old familiar. And I'm not saying you need to steal from your employer's safe to change, or cheat on your wife or kidnap a person. I'm reading about human trafficking. But I think people go to those desperate measures when they're pushed against the wall or boxed up so tight, not to excuse the behavior, but because they just couldn't see it for what it was until they were going to break and rebel against it. A large portion of my life, I didn't do a lot of the things that people usually do. And I'm still trying to come to terms with it, and I haven't come to terms with it. And I don't want to make excuses for it, but for right now in the present, it can only be boiled down to the fact that the answer is it wasn't right for me. And had I walked down those familiar paths, maybe I would have been happy here. Maybe I would have been a success at certain things. But it wasn't right for me at the time. And I have to reconcile that and still move forward. It's It's just the choices, how to move forward, where to move forward, where I'm going. Is it right for me? Is it without influence? Is it without making others happy to my own detriment? Is it my life's purpose? Will I be fulfilled? In a very selfish way, will it make me happy? What does it mean to be happy? Is aiming towards happiness the right choice itself? So, I think these are very real. I might be going off the rails a little bit, but I think these are very real questions that are coming forth in this book. There's a lot of different texts and like Q&As and like introductions and singled out passages that I'll go over when I'm done reading, but I just needed to take a little break from the book, and I'll soon move forward and finish it. And I didn't mean to make so many movies. I didn't mean to make so many videos. Like, my page is blood red now. But I can only really read like an hour at a time before I'm thirsty or have to go pee or like want to take a break. And so I end up with like 20 plus videos of one book. And I typed in the title in the YouTube search bar, and I see that somebody had already posted the novel, but I think it's like an AI voice reading of it. So you have an AI voice reading, you get ready now, will you? He said, at once. Yes, she answered. I'll be back in 3/4 of an hour, which, to be honest, isn't worse, necessarily worse than my reading at times. But I do think it's an AI version. Or a generated version. I don't fucking know. If people enjoy it, great. If not, then I'll have read the book and it's there for, if people want it or not. But I think that's all I'm going to say right now. I wish I had Madame Gautro's black dress. That's a really pretty black dress. I don't think I could carry it off. I wouldn't wear heels with it. I don't have the shoulders I'd want for it right now, but it's very pretty. Anyway, I think that's all. Breaking up the blood red wall before I add more blood red. I could have chosen a better cover, but we'll stick with it. All right. Thanks for listening.